Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers, and I heard some controversial comments from the legendary Quincy Jones. He had things to say about Michael Jackson, he had things to say about the Beatles, etc., that went on in the industry. Now, here's something that I learned, and I also picked up on a few things from watching this Tupac's host channel and his content and whatnot. In addition to that, even thinking about what College was saying to what Busy said about the gatekeepers in the industry, you know, the DJ Academics, the big boys, you know, the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, Envy, Angela Yee, Sway, etc. Now, I want to just say, before I even get into what Quincy Jones said, I want to say something about what Busy said. Now, Busy, you got on people. Well, more specifically, you got on Migos, and especially Migos, for biting the swagger and the flow that the Bone Thugs and Harmony are known for, right? And we could concede to what that's where the frame of reference comes from when it comes to that pacing and flowing and the cadences in your music, and not paying you guys that homage, not paying you that respect. So that is flat out biting, just like what Designer did with Future. I get it, but then Future, we can argue, did that with T-Pain. But we can argue that the Bone Thugs and Harmony did that with a group from California known as Freestyle Fellowship. I did some research myself on them, and Bone Thugs and Lord Infamous and the 3-6 Mafia, they were clashing because they're pretty much fighting between whose style was better and whatnot. Just like how the Bone Thugs and Harmony at one point were bumping heads with Twista. A lot of people don't know about that shit though, except for the older heads, of course, who were really deep into this hip hop shit. Anywho, let's get back into what Quincy Jones said. See, what Quincy Jones did, he made, and Busy, they made it to where the curtains are being pulled. The niggas who run shit, the Wizard of Oz ass elite motherfuckers who run shit in the industry, in the music industry right now, more specifically, where people are put in place, right, and deified, like the Beatles, like Michael Jackson. And I love Michael Jackson's music, but who's to say that Michael Jackson was the originator of all those things? And Quincy Jones worked with Michael, so it's not like Quincy Jones is somebody on the outside looking in. When it came to Thriller, Michael's, well, arguably, if not his most revered album, which he actually deemed was his worst project or something like that, I believe. But anywho, this is not somebody who's on the outside looking in. Quincy Jones has decades upon decades in this music industry. Anybody knows about the dynamics of this music industry, it's him. He's one of the godfathers of that. Just like how Richard Pryor is one of the godfathers of comedy, and Paul Mooney and whatnot. I mean, that's how you gotta look at Quincy Jones. See, and it's kind of ironic that he was on some interview have to do with Vulture, you know, culture, vultures, and whatnot. That's what I found ironic about that shit. So, we always have to look. Nothing is new under the sun. So, if we really wanted to get down to it, like, as far as the whole idea of being original goes, as long as you can try to find a flavor and you could just find some sort of ingredient. It's just like with food. You could only find so many variations within the ingredient for it to be so original, so different. After a while, there's gonna be that essential formula that makes it what it makes it. And that's how I feel about these artists when it comes to their flow, when it comes to their cadences, when it comes to their beat selections, when it comes to producers' drum patterns, because I'm a producer myself, so I can speak on that. Yes, oh yes. I mean, Quincy Jones has lived a full life. So you can't say that he's being bitter. You can't say that he's hating, because he's been around before all these cats, and he's still making money. A lot of artists, they'll look for his approval. Quincy Jones is to music what Bill Cosby was to comedy. And since we're on the subject of deifying people, I mean, take Bill Cosby. I used to look up to Bill Cosby. Love his Fat Albert series. Love the Cosby Show. I liked watching things like the Electric Company. I like watching those things such as his specials. And I've even heard little vinyl records of when Bill Cosby was one of those people who didn't curse, just like Bob Marley. But you know, the whole Quaaludes, and I mean, like I said, we don't know if it's true or not. And that's the thing about me. I'm not really a person who likes to speculate and theorize and give fragments of truth, conjectures. I like people to get to the nitty-gritty and the downright facts. Which is why, even with the whole Tupac hoax, when I was watching his videos, it's like, I mean, I don't give a damn, because Tupac wasn't anything special. When it comes to the grand scheme of things, you had plenty of artists who can do what he did. Mos Def took it to that level. I already said that in my recent video, so I don't need to regurgitate things that I've already said. I mean, even in the times that we're living in, we either deify somebody or we demonize them to the point where they're the worst of the worst. Just like when Erykah Badu said that Hitler had good traits about him. I mean, sure he did. I mean, Hitler got Germany out of the Great Depression. Nobody can deny that. And then, you know, the whole thing that transpired with the Jews and the gas chambers and whatnot, which was a form of dehumanizing, but Hitler is not the only one guilty of that. They don't put Benito Mussolini in that same category. They don't put Leopold II in that category. He killed way more people. They don't even put Joseph Stalin in that same category. I mean, come on now. These people that I named have done more damage when it came to the quantity of people dying and suffering. Hell, I've worked with people who are from the Ukraine, so they could tell me about things that Joseph Stalin done. And yes, I mean, the whole Aryan race and Mein Kampf, the My Struggle book. I mean, I'm not a fan of Hitler, but if we look at it objectively, we can't say that Hitler wasn't great at what he did, because if he wasn't, then we wouldn't be talking about him in 2018, even in 2018 interviews. So we have to look at the good, bad, and the ugly, you know? So I think that's what Quincy Jones has done. I think that's what Busy has done in recent time periods. Now that the curtains are being pulled, we start to look at things, and even the Tupac's host, we start to look at things more objectively. We have to be transparent. This is the age of transparency. I remember Lenny said that at one point, Charlemagne, and he was right on the money on that. His old 48 laws of power using ass motherfucker, thinking he's slick. Anywho, I think that's all I gotta say. Peace out, everybody, and one love.